Hello and welcome to another episode of the Father Support Network. I am your host, Dr. Michael Wampa. Today we're going to be discussing another exciting topic, which is flight or fight, how to deal with parental alienation. Before we get into all of that, I would encourage you and invite you to subscribe to our channel to get more updates. Yes. So, how do you deal with parental alienation? What is parental alienation to begin with? Parental alienation is when a couple have separated, or either a married couple, or in some cases, or or couples that have kids together and then they've separated and gone their separate ways. How one parent that's got the child, usually in this case the mom, may choose to alienate you, the other party, the father, from seeing your child. So how do you deal with that? Um, I've seen situations, in most cases, men just abandon their responsibilities because they don't want to deal with the drama that ensues from that. They don't want to deal with going back and forth in court with their ex. Uh, but is that the better approach? Is it better to avoid trouble, to avoid drama, and and lose that might in the short term sound uh, like the right thing to do, but trust me, in the long run, uh, that is not good at all. In the long run, that has very adverse outcome and consequences. Um, I've seen situations where I remember one particular situation where uh, a friend of mine, a female friend of mine, had a brother that had a child with his ex, and they were separated. They were married, but they were separated. And then they had at the time. This should be a couple of years ago. The older child was a girl. She was 13, and I think the youngest son was 9 or thereabout. But the daughter was so estranged from the dad that she never wanted anything to do with the dad. And this is from you know what the mom sometimes, in some cases, unfortunately, but some mothers, some good there are some good mothers out there, by the way. But in this particular case, the mom had kind of like poisoned this young girl's mind, and she saw the dad as the cause of the separation and wouldn't want nothing to do with the dad. And it didn't even stop at that. He was so acrimonious that she had even some not too nice words for the dad. So this female friend had come to me to ask for advice, knowing my situation at the time and how I fought for my kids, and I was involved in the kids' life, and I think she wanted to pursue. She wanted my advice on how the brother can go about pursuing. Going through the legal means, going to court to be able to have some access to the child. But in that situation, when the child has grown to that age, they've gone to that age whereby where in the court, their decision might be given certain weight, although they're still underage, they're still at the age where they can make certain decisions. But at that age, when you're 13, the court will give weight to your choice as a child. The court might take more likely to take statement from the child, or call them into court to decide who they want to live with or who they want to see. So, but that also reveals something, that father perhaps had left it too late, because uh, it is when a child is at a certain age, you can have influence in their life, you can have your imprint, you can be there for them, and I will find it will be very rare for the child to then at that age say They want nothing to do with you. So that's why I say to fathers to try and be there from from when the child is small. But should you run away? Should you flee the drama with your ex and abandon your child? That is your seed. Running away is not an option. But I can understand where the drama can be. I've seen situations where this kind of exes that we're talking about, mothers in this case, could uh, try to. There are some situations where the mom can be to the extreme, where you might be accused of doing certain stuff, where you might even be pushed, or you might lose your cool and do certain stuff that is going to stand against you. And unfortunately, the children might be brought into to witness against you. We've had incidents, situations. I've had situations where a father might be accused of abusing the child. It might be physical abuse or even sexual abuse, and there are cases where this might be true, but there are most cases where these are just trumped up charges. These are not just to alienate. But alienating a child from the other parents, the court frowns at it. Well, we need to understand that this is a very serious, it causes significant harm to the child. So the court takes the child's interest to be primary. And when one parent alienates the other child, the court doesn't look at this in a favorable way, no matter what we think, because the child deserves to have a right to both parents, for the child to grow up in a healthy environment. But again, the child needs also grow up in a very healthy environment, and where there's rancor, where there is arguments, where there is maybe even physical argument, this might be detrimental to the child. So I could understand why some fathers may choose to just leave everything, leave the child. But that is your seed at the end of the day. You can't base your love for your child, you can't base your responsibility towards your child on how good your relationship is with the mom. You chose that mom, but you didn't choose. The child didn't choose you. It was natural. You brought that child into this world, and you have a right, you have an obligation towards that child. So running is not an option at all. So, but there are ways to do this. There are ways to prevent this drama. Some fathers may not know this. There are mediators. There are mediators that can mediate transfer. When I say transfer, exchange. When you have your child, depending on the age, there are places, there are centers. That there are centers in the community. And these services, most of the services are free at most. In many cases where your ex can bring the child, and then you can take your child and then return to the same place to avoid any sort of but this is sad, because if you both made the child, you should be able to raise the child irrespective of whether your relationship worked or not, or your relationship irrespective of the fact whether you've moved on with your life. But unfortunately, that is the reality. This is reality, and then you need to find a way to still continue to be a father to your child. So running is not the option, because when you run, what happens is you end up reneging on your obligation towards your child, and you cause a rift between you and your child. I've heard stories, very sad stories, of where a child is, recently heard a story where someone said a grown-up child has said the father shouldn't, come. She was dying and said the father should not come to the grave because the father was not in the life. And, I want to say this to our mothers. I can understand. You might be angry. The conditions, the man might be responsible and must have caused you pain. But it's not enough to poison the child. It's not enough to alienate the child unless the father poses serious harm to this child. It is to the benefit of the child that he or she continues to have access, no matter what kind of access, to the father. But I'm directing this to the fathers. Do not run. It might look difficult at the beginning. It might be the strained relationship could impart on, sometimes you might want to go see your child tomorrow. The mom says no, it's not available. I know those little games, but you need to stick by. You need to see this through, and I promise you, you're going to benefit from it, because at the end of the day, you would have saved your relationship with your child. You'd have saved that child, because once you're not in child's life, it has a big impact in that child's future. It has a big impact in that child's relationship with others in the society. And it has a big impact on how that child relates in her own relationship with others, with men, with our husband, with our future husband. So it's important for us to have fathers in the life of our children, in the life of our child. So I would encourage you that choose to fight rather than to run away from that situation. And I wish we could build a healthy society where our children are happy and grow up enjoying the love of both father and mother. So I hope I've spoken to someone today. Once again, I encourage you to subscribe to our channel for more updates, and I'll see you next time.